Welcome to discoverhacking.com. How good is a good password? Well, in this episode, we're going to take a brief look at just how easy it could be for someone to compromise your password. It might just be a lot easier than you think. Passwords. We all have them, we all use them, and we all need them on a daily basis. For some they are weak, for some they are strong, but just how good really is a good password? Before we dive in, let's just take a quick look at some good basic examples of password management. Well, for a start, longer will always be stronger. 12 characters is a good start, but add more if possible. The National Cybersecurity Center recommend using 3 random words joined together or broken up with special characters. Also, be sure not to use the same or similar passwords across multiple services. Use a password manager such as KeePass to store all of your passwords in, and it goes without saying, but certainly don't write them down. To a fairly savvy and mindful user, this may seem like commonplace, but consider those who are not computer literate or those who are particularly vulnerable, such as the inexperienced or elderly. They may be putting themselves at risk of compromise, even from the most basic form of attacks. We all know or perhaps even work with certain people who probably use weak passwords, but how damaging could it be if they were to get compromised? Financial loss, reputational loss, loss of business, emotional damage or distress, and the list could go on. Apart from simply just guessing or socially engineering passwords from users, experienced security professionals can use many tools in combination with specifically tailored word lists built upon solid reconnaissance to obtain your password. Take, for example, the RockU text word list, 133 megabytes of some of the most commonly used passwords out there, and a #1 starting point for a hacker to try and guess your password. Although the RockU word list has been available for several years, you would be surprised how many people still use passwords that can be found in this magical word list. When used in combination with rule sets to mix things up a little, it can be even more dangerous. Take, for example, the following password: Redfish74. Probably not the greatest password in the first place, but how hard would it be for someone to have that generated in a word list? Well, that depends really. It could be very easy if you really did have a red fish and it was common knowledge, but even if it wasn't that well known, it wouldn't be too hard to generate a few different word lists based on animals and colors together and add a few digits on top. Cue a quick and dirty Python script for example purposes. In this super basic example script written in Python, it simply loops through all the different permutations entered into the variables and outputs them into a text file to create a single word list. The result of this script equals a word list containing 4,000 words. This is a good start. However, things can be taken even further with the use of Hashcat in combination with its rule sets to mix things up some more. Hashcat is a versatile tool that essentially allows a user to crack passwords using various methods, the most common being a word list or brute force attack. It can even be used in conjunction with a graphics card to maximize the speed at which it can run. Depending upon the algorithm used for the password, it may be able to attempt thousands of guesses every second. Many rule sets exist that can take a good word list to the next level by adding in leet speak or other commonly used formatting methods. Think of it as scrambling a word up to still make it easy to remember, but by switching some of the characters around or changing letters for numbers. Our basic list has now been ran through Hashcat with the popular dive rule to highlight the possibilities. Just look at all those variations. Now, given the fact that there are 4,000 entries in our original output text list, it would not be practical in real life to use this method on a large list to begin with, as you would run out of disk space rather quickly. We only ran it for example purposes and escaped the process with Ctrl+C after 20 seconds or so. Our new output list was in excess of 4 gigabytes, but you get the idea of what can be achieved with a little patience. What started out perhaps from some simple reconnaissance based on freely available information from social media or other sources can be used to put together comprehensive lists of potential passwords that can be used to attack logins or crack captured password hashes altogether. Bottom line, always use a strong password. Using two-factor authentication is also a must to mitigate a lot of these kind of attacks. If two-factor authentication is allowed on your services and you don't have it enabled, enable it now.